This episode is brought to you by Progressive.
Are you driving your car or doing the laundry right now? Podcasts go best when they're bundled with another activity, like Progressive home and auto policies. They're best when bundled too.
Having these two policies together makes insurance easier and could help you save. Customers who save by switching their home and car insurance to Progressive save over $775 on average.
Quote a home and car bundle today at progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $779 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Hello and welcome back to Chasing Excellence, a show about chasing what truly matters. My name is Patrick Cummings. I'm here by myself. This time around with just a quick introduction to the episode. We're going to revisit a conversation that Ben and I had earlier this year, I think it was January or February of this year, where we broke down and we updated, perhaps we evolved one of our key frameworks, what we call awareness, intention, and action. If you remember our old format, it was in the midst of a much larger conversation, a conversation that we had a bunch of different parts to it. So I like bringing this out, giving it its own space in case either you missed it or in case, like me, you like to revisit these things, think about them again, make sure that they are front of mind. So this is, again, one of our primary frameworks, the one that we talk about, we mention all the time, awareness, intention, and action. We're going to jump into it in just a second. But first, a quick reminder, chasingexcellence.email. Head over there, get on our free newsletter list. It's the best way to get questions into future episodes, which is really helpful to us, as well as get more content from us and perhaps even jump into the Chase Club, which is our premium membership where you'll get ad-free episodes, as well as bonus content, book clubs, and some fun things that we are planning. chasingexcellence.email. The link is in the show notes. Let's get into this conversation about awareness, intention, and action. I'd love to just know how you think about implementing frameworks in your life. We talk about frameworks all the time. One of the things we try to do here is introduce and explore different frameworks that we can all use to chase excellence, to live a healthy and happy life. But I'm just curious, I don't know that I've ever asked you, how do you actually take a framework? We can use awareness, intention, action to get into this conversation. But how does it live, other than as an intellectual exercise and something for you and I to talk about? How does it live in your day-to-day life?
Okay, so a framework, the purpose of a framework is to turn something from complex into simplicity. Mm-hmm. That's the idea behind it is, health, if you were to, scroll the Instagrams, if you were to go on WebMD, if you were to kind of check through, talk to a bunch of medical professionals and or fitness enthusiasts and or biohackers or whatever it might be, you're going to get this really convoluted, complex, conflicting information about what health is. One person's going to say, you got to do ice baths. Other people are going to say, you got to take these supplements. Other people are going to say, well, it's all about not having any toxins. Other people are going to say, it's about how you sleep. Other people are going to say, stare at the sun or red light therapy, or it just goes on and on and on. And if you're not vegan, you're not going to make it. So it's about taking something that's really complex and boiling it down to its essence, its most simplest form. So that's what we've done with health, right? It's what we're trying to do with this show in general, is just create and distill these complex things down into its simplest form. So when we say a fulfilled life, we're saying it's this. When we say health, we're saying it's that. When we're saying this awareness, intention, and action, it's a framework. And the way we're saying this is guiding principles. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of where we want to start. So could we use this for anything? Could we use it to get off of substance abuse? Yup. Could we use it to become a better student? Yup. Could we use it to try to back squat 400 pounds? Yup. But the way we're looking at this is, if we're trying to chase what truly matters, how do we decide what truly matters and how to chase it and then go do it? That's what this whole thing is about. So it is truly that. They are guiding principles, and principles are shortcuts to use to help guide you along the way. So think of it as like almost like you're bowling and you're with your 3-year-old and you put up those things on the side. What are those inflatable things? Those guardrails?
Yep.
So that you stay on track. That's what principles can help us do. So this is what awareness, intention, action does, is most people are on relatively, and myself and you included, when I say most people, it's like, we're on autopilot. There's a default operating system that is running the human mechanism. From your mind to your body to everything else, we're just going through life on autopilot. And if we are able to create this awareness, and we'll go into each of these things again, but staying with the framework thing, if we're able to create this awareness, you can pop out of the matrix. You can pop out and truly make more elevated decisions, have a better understanding of what is the thing that's going to move the needle for you instead of just riding, we said this before, but instead of being a leaf blowing in the wind that just like has no control over the way my life unfolds. It's just all these external circumstances push me in one direction or the other. Well, that's what awareness does, is goes like, wait a minute. There's a fan over there. I could turn that thing off, or I could turn the direction, and then I'm going to be blown this way. And that would be maybe more productive. And that's what the intention comes in, is like, wait a minute, I could actually make this plan. I could actually go do this thing. And then the last piece is obviously the action, which is nothing. Everything else is just feel goods, and everything else is just theoretical until you actually put it into practice. Mm-hmm. And the most obvious example of this, well, I'll give a couple, is people that meditate or people that read a lot. There are a lot of people that meditate kind of for the purpose of either their spiritual ego, because they feel more elevated, they feel more better than the next person because they meditate, or they want to become better meditators. Like, that to me is not for what? Like, the purpose of meditation is to be able to bring that into your actual life and bring it into action. Like, it's that. And then reading is the same thing. People read to finish a book because they like the dopamine response of that accomplishment of like, I have now read a book, and instead of reading the book to learn from the book and implement it into our lives. So that's where the action part comes into this. So this framework of awareness, intention, action is one of the ones that my wife and I fall back on all the time in conversations. She uses it in her kids program. I think that, probably second to Eat, Sleep, Train, Think, and Connect for the 5 factors of health. It goes ahead of that because you need to understand this before you get to that. But in terms of impact on my life, those 2 frameworks are probably 2 of the more powerful ones that I've come to realize and put into a part of my life.
Love that. Okay, so let's dive into awareness, intention, action, and I'd love to kind of keep in mind stories of, examples of, or just theoretically how it does show up in your life as we go. But let's start with awareness, since it's the place we start. What does that mean? What are we talking about? Why is it the beginning of these? Why is it the first of these 3 guiding principles?
Okay, so as I just talked about, like, we're on autopilot. And if you don't override it, you're not supposed to not be on autopilot. You're supposed to run on an algorithm, which is inputs in equal outputs out. That's the way we work. But we don't have to. You're not born this way, but we don't necessarily need to operate that way. And it's not a very optimal way to live. But if we want to elevate, we need a certain level of awareness to be able to do that. What the heck am I talking about? Okay, so you are living your best life. You're in a good mood. You're doing your thing. All of a sudden, you pick up your phone, you check your last post, and you see the first 3 comments are negative towards you. First one is like, whoa, Patrick is packing on the pounds. Hey there, chubby. Next one is something like, who the heck does this guy think he is telling us what to do, right? The next one is like, Patrick isn't as smart as he thinks he is. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we were going along, doing our thing, doing our best self, and then this external factor came in and triggered us. If we have awareness of that, we can work with it. Otherwise, what happens is you start going down into the sewer cycle, because we've talked about this before. But what happens is trigger happens. Subconscious, not conscious, a subconscious thought comes in, which is rooted into your biology, into your DNA for survival mechanisms. You hear those things and it triggers you because the subconscious thing that's built into us is the tribe doesn't like me. You're going to die because the tribe is going to kick you out and you're going to die from exposure. So from that subconscious thought, you have an emotion. You feel that emotion, which is anger, which is frustration, which is fear, which is disappointment, which is sadness, which is whatever it might be, but you feel that. If you hold on to that feeling, there is a physiological response, meaning that literally what happens is you switch from the parasympathetic nervous system, the feel goods, the rest and repair, the relax, into fight or flight. The tribe is going to kick me out, time to freaking go. Either run, freeze, or fight. That's okay for short periods of time. Yes, ice baths can be beneficial because they put you into this hormesis, this intentional, short, acute stress. What's not good is chronic stress. If you have these things looping on themselves where you're in constant stress, you get sick. Your arteries get smaller. You have a harder time getting blood to working areas. Blood leaves your gut. Your microbiome gets disrupted. Your immune system gets suppressed. If you don't have awareness that you were triggered, you are on autopilot and you're getting sick. That's what's happening. If you have awareness that, oh my gosh, I was kind of doing okay, and then all of a sudden something happened that made me feel sad, that's where you want to go. When your feeling changes, do you have awareness? This has been so popularized. Emotional intelligence. Do you have the intelligence to understand your feelings? If you have this EQ, not IQ, intellectual, this emotional intelligence, then you can start to have awareness of what triggered you. Just the awareness level of, ooh, I read that thing triggered me, and then the intellectual ability to not just go on the default subconscious pattern, but to have the idea that goes, whoa, that's weird. That feeling isn't serving me right now. And I realize it's part of my biological mechanism it's built into me for survival things that doesn't exist in society anymore, but it's still part of my evolutionary past, which is a part of me. I can rewire this. And the attempt after attempt after attempt, the intention, trying to do it over time, and doing it, do it, eventually gets to the point where those feelings come in, it hits your shit, you get over it, and you're done. But you don't hang on to it for minutes, hours, days, or weeks. Let's give another example. As you said, let's tell the stories. Mm-hmm. You get a message from one of your coworkers. Either it's one of your employees or it's a boss or somebody that says, hey, Patrick, first thing Monday morning, can we chat? How are you feeling? Recognize that. Well, is that serving you? If you hold on to that through Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday morning, and you hold on to that anxiety, that stress for this whole time, that's not hormesis. That's not E-stress, EU stress. That's not the good stress. That's not the working out. That's not the public speaking. That's not the starting the side hustle. That's not the ice bath. That's not the good stress. That's the chronic kind that kills us. And I'm just using this as one small example of where awareness, intention, action can live in our lives, because we could use this in terms of, what do I want to do for my career? Do I have awareness, intention, and action for that? But this framework overlaps onto everything that we're doing in our lives. How do we become healthy? Well, you need awareness, intention, action. How do we become healthy? Well, you have to have awareness that it's how you eat, sleep, train, think, and connect. If you only think it's about taking medicine, you will not get healthy. You have to have that level of awareness to understand that it is bigger than that. Well, now that you know, and you have the awareness that it's how you eat, sleep, train, think, and connect, how are we going to implement that into our lives? What's our game plan? What are we going to do? What's the strategy? And the action is go do that thing. Here's where it falls into the highest level. We want fulfilled, happy lives. Like that's what we want. We want to be able to look back on our life and go, I'm glad I spent my time doing that thing. Most people don't get there. Why not? Because they're not following the steps. Instead of popping up out of the matrix and going, what truly matters to me? They just go based off of the dopamine, society, what their parents said, something else, and they chase that thing. That's the equivalent of every time you leave the casino, you feel like crap. But sitting at the slot machine feels so damn good. So you just pull it again, and you pull it again, and you pull it again. But eventually you leave the casino and you're full of regret and despair. That is us not having a level of awareness that us pulling on this slot machine, even though right now it feels good, is not serving us in the long run. We need that level of awareness of what the things are that actually create joy. And it's not the dopamine-filled thing of what's next, what's next, what's next. People think that dopamine is from like the achievement. It's not. It's the anticipation of achievements. That's a big, big difference. It's that, we're going to get this thing. We're going to get this thing. That is the thing that we can't just default to. If we have the level of awareness that, nope, you know what actually is the thing? Hard conversations. When I get done with a hard conversation, hours after that, maybe the next day, it's like I feel lighter. Like that's the thing. You are now out of the casino feeling better. It was hard, man. Like nobody wants to go do that thing. You know what else? Like working out. You know what else? Not hitting the snooze alarm. You know what else? Working on my business. You know what else? Having the difficult parenting things that aren't fun to do. But those are the things that actually, it's an understanding that a lot of these things require short-term sacrifice for the long-term fulfillment. That's the awareness. That's the framework we want to be operating with, not just what other people might be doing, what we might be doing if we didn't have this framework, which is right now, like what is it right now? Well, I want to earn $100,000. Why? Because it's the anticipation that you're going to feel better when you get there. It's that anticipation that when you leave, that next pull on the slot machine is going to get you that thing. Is that really the thing? And to do some research, the level of happiness levels between people that win the lottery and people that become paraplegics as adults is the same. What we think makes us happy does not necessarily make us happy. So we got to do some work to create the levels of awareness of the way we are operating every day. And this is the framework to do that. Truly, what is the things that are going to work for me? Not what mom said, not what dad wanted, not what the Instagram is telling me. Like, do some introspective work, which can be really challenging, but create that level of awareness. Create the game plan. What is that thing that's going to get me there? And then go to work, bro. Like, do the work. That's the action.
We'll be back in just a few minutes, but let's say thank you to a few sponsors that help us make the show possible. We're brought to you this time around by the Defender series of vehicles. If you're ready to tackle your greatest goals and embrace the impossible. It's time to explore the Defender lineup at LandRoverUSA.com. Imagine setting off on your next adventure in a vehicle engineered to meet challenges head on. The Defender is not just an SUV, it's an icon of adventure, reimagined for the modern explorer. Whether you're navigating rugged terrain or city streets, its legendary capability lets you explore with confidence. The Defender is fully equipped for 21st century adventures with cutting-edge technology. The next generation Pivi Pro infotainment system keeps you connected, while 3D surround cameras and clear sight ground view help you anticipate obstacles, making every journey just a little smoother. Plus, with its robust materials and customizable driver displays, the Defender is as durable as it is intuitive. And remember, there's a family of Defenders to choose from, including the 90, 110, and 130, which specifically offers seating for up to 8 human beings. I don't even know 8 human beings, but if you do. Don't just reach for your aspirations, embrace them with the Defender. Visit LandRoverUSA.com today to design and build your own Defender and embark on your own journey. So what's your next adventure going to be? Explore the full Defender lineup now at LandRoverUSA.com. We're also brought to you by a new sponsor, SiPhox Health. Let's talk about an incredible tool to enhance your health journey. SiPhox Health's revolutionary at-home blood test. Visit SiPhoxHealth.com/excellence for an exclusive 20% off your at-home blood test kit. Imagine no more clinic visits or long waits. With SiPhox, you can collect a few drops of blood right at home and get insights on 17 essential biomarkers. SiPhox makes it exceptionally affordable to track your health regularly, having slashed the cost of traditional blood work by over 88%. This means anyone can now access regular testing without breaking the bank. These tests provide a complete health overview, including key markers like vitamin D for mood, cortisol for stress, and testosterone for energy. Plus, you can combine these results with data from your fitness trackers for actionable, science-backed recommendations. If you're serious about optimizing your life, these insights and convenience are a game changer. So don't wait. Stay on top of your health goals and measure your progress with SiPhox. Go to SiPhox Health, that's SiPhox health.com/excellence to get 20% off your kit today. SiPhoxHealth.com/excellence. Okay, let's get back to the show. In the awareness part of this process, in the awareness part of these three, this particular framework, it strikes me as really important to bring to that awareness curiosity and not judgment. Because judgment can be a great big wall we put in the way of understanding. And if we put something in the way of understanding, we set something up that is in the way of our intention and certainly in the way of our action. But if we put curiosity into it, then we're in a state, a mindset where we say, oh, interesting. Why? Okay, maybe that's why. What am I going to do about that now that I've gotten a little bit better or a little bit clearer understanding of why I'm doing this, why I'm responding this way, why I was triggered in this particular way. So I think that's really important to remember, is that it is awareness for awareness sake, but bring to that awareness the right weapon. And in this case, that right weapon is curiosity. It's a question mark, because only with that question mark can we then go to the next step, or certainly easier, which is that, okay, got it. Now what? This. Now I'm going to implement that.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's curiosity, and I think it's perspective. So the curiosity one, absolutely. Judgment is going to be our enemy. To fight that, we want to fight that enemy with a weapon of curiosity. You're absolutely right. And to the point of that sequence of the way that the mind works, which is trigger, subconscious thought, emotion, and then physiological response, that what we want to do is question emotions. That's exactly what you're saying, is don't just take them for granted. Like, here's an example, a personal example of this: awareness, intention, and action. I started to become aware that when we would, as a family, start packing to go on a trip, I would start to get pissed off. I would get really frustrated, and I would, to the point where, for the first 30 minutes of the car ride, I probably wasn't, as friendly and as awesome to be around as I could have been otherwise. And I started to question. I started to go like, I knew why, but that's wrong. Because what I said was, I'm mad because it's taking Heather, my wife, so long to get ready. That's why I'm pissed. And what is the deal with her? Instead of, why does that make me mad? Like, why does her taking longer than I want make me mad? And when I started to question this a little bit more, I actually really kind of observed it for a while. And what I realized was happening. So first off, she has a different upbringing than I did. And my thing was, when it was time to go as a family, it was like, Mom and Dad were like, oh, let's go, guys, get in the car. And we got in the car. It was like, hey, guys, we're going to leave at 12:30. We were in the car and we were leaving at 12:30. Heather's family they're like, her dad is like a preparer. Like, he's like super organized. He still has, assembly instructions for his VCR that he had in 1989 on a file, hard copy. It's like, hey, Bill, do you have a Allen wrench? He's like, yep, it's in the third drawer marked Allen wrenches. So Heather's default is, before she packs up, she loves, and I love living in this way. She's super neat. Like, our kitchen, there's nothing on our shelves. There's not a toaster. There's not a coffee maker. There's not a napkin. It's empty shelves except for 2 fruit baskets. There's nothing else on our shelves, which is awesome. And I love that.
Yep.
And when I watched this for a little bit and I was curious about why I was getting so pissed, and I really watched her get ready, because in my mind, she's just distracted and she doesn't have time management. She's bad executive function. She's selfish and she doesn't care what time we leave. That's the story I'm telling myself. Instead, when I was curious and really watched it, what I realized was that's her cleaning and organization time. It's where she takes when we're packing up, she doesn't put things in a bag to go like I do. She takes things out of a shelf and then organizes the whole shelf. She takes things out of a drawer and then organizes the whole drawer. She puts things out of a bag that was there from something else, puts it away, and then straightens up everything else next to it. And what I realized was, I value living in a clean, organized house more than I do leaving on the time that we said instead of 18 minutes later. And me getting frustrated at that is not only something that doesn't serve me, it's actually a disservice to the thing I actually value.
Yep.
So I was like, that stopped being a trigger for me. I was like, I want her to go do your thing. I'm going to find something else to use up my time, knowing that we're going to be 18 minutes late. And I'm just not going to get frustrated with this thing because it's a thing that actually works for me. So that level of awareness, all of a sudden, that's the reprogramming. We are not algorithms, A in equals B out. You get to rewire that thing. The way we get to rewire that thing, other than other animals, if a deer hears a loud boom, it startle flinches. It doesn't get to think about that. Sometimes it runs right into traffic. What we get to do is go, that thing triggered me. Wait a minute. I get to actually decide how this plays out. Because we are cognitive beings. We're the only ones that get to think thoughts about our thoughts. Every other animal is just reactive. We actually get to not just react, we get to question our reactions and choose a different response. This is popping out of the matrix and actually figuring out that we don't need to be upset, frustrated, or triggered by certain things if we don't choose to be. We really, really don't. And we start with the small things, right? Which is someone cuts you off in traffic, which is the workout isn't your best workout, which is you didn't PR today, which is boss said, can you do another revision on that? Like all those things that used to really set us off. Let's just start to work with those things. So that's a curiosity. But to pull up all the way back to the perspective thing as well is the idea of like when we leave the casino. Like when we are looking back on this is the other part we want to have. When we are looking back, is this the way, is this what we want? And The easy part of that is the saying, you know it, everyone knows it. If you're not going to remember this in 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes right now. That's perspective 101, which is that guy cut you off in traffic. You're not going to remember this in 5 years. Like, why are you letting this eat you up? You know when you're going to remember it? When you run him down, flick him off, ride his bumper, he slams on the brakes, you almost get in an accident, he pulls over, you pull over, and you have this fisticuffs, and that's when you're going to remember it. It's not going to be a good thing to remember. That's you leaving the casino going like, why did I do that? Why did I sit there? Because it felt good in the moment. You were giving in to those animalistic impulses. We need to override those. We can override those. This is what a productive, fulfilled life looks like.
What have you found to be the most effective mechanism for recognizing either, and I'm thinking recognizing sort of in retrospect, maybe 30 minutes into that car ride where you're headed up to ski and you left later than you wanted. Do you have any sense or any advice on where to begin for anybody who feels like, more often than not, I'm not popping my head up out of the matrix as much as I would like or as effectively as I would like?
Yeah, when I was training elite athletes, we used to have this saying, which is champions have hindsight in the present moment, right? Which is with enough separation, everyone is level-headed and makes the right decisions, right?
Yep.
So you go, I probably shouldn't have run that guy down in traffic, got in my car and knocked him out. Now I'm spending a night in jail. Like, I wish I hadn't done that. Like, the same thing with an athlete. Athlete goes like, man, I really wish I hadn't lost my crap on that referee. I wish I had just let that go and stayed really focused on the game and, what we were trying to execute as a team instead of totally getting thrown off and totally getting rattled and getting kicked out of the game. Like, oops. Like, champions operate with hindsight in the present moment. So how do we do that? And it's becoming aware of when you're, the way Heather and I say it is, and sorry if you're in the car with the kids, but it's when your shit gets hit. Like, you feel your shit getting hit. Like something inside of you changes. I feel it in my stomach. Heather feels it in her chest. Other people feel it in their temples, or their neck gets tight, or there's tension, or they clench up, or they something, you feel something. Something changes.
I get tired.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
So when you feel that, here's the thing, like when you feel that, as your point, curiosity, question it and go, okay, what made me do that? And most of us can get there real quick. If you just go like, what caused that? Well, it was my boss saying like, we got to talk Monday morning. Okay. How does that help, Ben? Like just that. And then you just like, just that awareness, that right there pops you out of, it sounds like nothing. That pops you out of the default operating system of the subconscious mind running the show. What you're doing is going out of being an animal into a human being. That's crazy bonkers, so far advanced. Like just that idea of like, wow, I felt my stomach feel weird when my boss sent me that text saying we got to talk on Monday morning. That triggered that thing for me. Okay. I don't necessarily need to worry about that right now for the next 72 hours till Monday morning. And when I feel that pop up, I'm going to try to like work through it. That's the idea, is like, I'm going to try to work through it. Now, this is like, we're taking awareness, intention, action into a very narrow thing, which is working when you get rattled. But again, just to zoom back out again, this is not awareness, intention, action for mental toughness. That's the conversation we're having right now. Awareness, intention, action happens for everything. What should I do for a profession? Where should I be spending my time? What do I want with my life? All of these big, big, big things that we want to do, this is the framework that we want to operate with at all times. So I used to think that the most important question we could ask ourselves is, what should I be spending my time on right now? Like that's in with perspective, hindsight. How should I be spending my time right now? Well, if you're just on default operating system, you're going to go for immediate gratification 100% of the time. I'm going to eat the cookie. I'm going to watch Netflix. I'm going to gamble, whatever it might be, right? It's that doesn't necessarily serve us in the long run. So we need that level of awareness. And that's, I'm repeating it again, but that's where it comes in. Can we have enough perspective when we're asking that question, where should I spend my time? Yes, that's the right question, but we have to know to serve what? And it can't be to serve the immediate gratification of the moment. It has to be in service of something bigger. I believe that something bigger is the totality of a well-lived life. And from that perspective, what does a well-lived life look like? With that level of awareness, now we can go back and go, okay, I feel really tired when my wife said that to me. Is it worth me feeling tired, frustrated, angry, resentful, anything because she said that to me? Nope. And then if you go really deep, it's because, my mom was really controlling, and when my wife told me to do the dishes, I was like, this resentful thing came up and bubbled up. It has nothing to do with my relationship with my wife whatsoever. It's because of the operating system, the behaviors that have been ingrained into us, not only through our lives, but through the hundreds and thousands of years of human evolution, that when certain things happen, it means, that we're either in physical, emotional danger, we're going to be kicked out of the tribe, or whatever it might be. It's built into us, and we have to recognize what's serving us and what is not.
Thank you so much for being here this week. Thank you so much for your ratings, for your reviews. If you haven't rated and reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts yet, and you happen to be on Apple Podcasts, it would be wonderful. It'd be great to see some new reviews on there. They do help new folks find the show, trust the show is worth their time and effort. I guess effort. It's effortful to listen to a podcast, so we'll go with that. ChasingExcellence.email if you want to get even more. Get on the free newsletter list. Let us know your questions. We send out a few emails every week. At least one of them will have a link to a form, and you can submit your questions, and Ben and I will get to as many of them as we can in future episodes. Thanks so much. Ben and I will be back soon for a brand new episode of Chasing Excellence.
Okay, it's official. We are very much in the final sprint to Election Day. And face it, between debates, polling releases, even court appearances, it can feel exhausting, even impossible to keep up with. I'm Brad Mielke. I'm the host of Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. And every morning, my team and I get you caught up on the day's news in a quick, straightforward way that's easy to understand, with just enough context so you can listen, get it, and go on with your day. So, kickstart your morning. Start smart with Start Here and ABC News, because staying informed shouldn't feel overwhelming.